Si ya vieron la parte 1, vénganse aquí. Esta es la parte 2 de nuestra entrevista con el jefe global de WhatsApp, Will Cathcart. Así que vamos con ello. What is the WhatsApp feature you are the most proud of?
Well, there's a lot. I'll go to our recent one, which is channels.
Okay.
It's really new, but we've just seen a ton of interest from both people who want to create a channel and people who want to follow it, actually, especially here in Mexico. And the idea behind the feature is we wanted to give people a way to communicate to a large audience, but in perhaps a more private way than some of the other tools out there for this. So, as opposed to following someone on a social media site or subscribing to an email list, it's private who you're following. And the messages, yes, you can react to them, but they're not, large group discussions. It's sort of a private communication from someone or from an organization straight to you. And the reaction's been great. We're seeing...
How are channels being used in here in Mexico?
Yeah. We're seeing football teams use it, and musicians, and public figures, and politicians, and the president has a channel. And we've just seen a lot of people using it. And I think, still figuring out how to use it, because there's fun differences to WhatsApp, right? You can send an audio message. What audio message do you want to send out to 1 million people?
And which is the main difference about the channels and the other channels of Instagram, for example?
Well, I think a big difference is it's on WhatsApp, and that's a different set of people who use WhatsApp and a different audience if you're a creator. And again, for the consumer, we've really tried to make this a very private experience. And we've also been very conscious to something we've heard a lot about around the world and in Mexico, which is people don't want to feel overwhelmed in WhatsApp. So the channel updates, they go in a separate tab. They're not in your inbox. By default, they don't notify you. You can turn notifications on if you want to get it, but trying to give you a way to keep up on the information you want to hear from the people you care about and the organizations you care about, but in a way that's very controlled, private, and not a lot of noise.
Right. And who are the top 3 people you communicate on WhatsApp the most?
My wife, for sure, would be the number 1. I think then it's probably either a mixture of my family. We have a bunch of family groups.
How many groups do you have in your phone?
Thousands. I think there's a bunch of family groups with different, subsets of my family or the whole family. I use WhatsApp a lot for work. Not surprisingly, it's how we do a lot of our communication at WhatsApp. So the people I work most closely with, on what we're building and how we're making sure the service is great for people.
And do you prefer to text or send audio messages?
I text. I prefer to text or send photos or do calls. I'm still getting into the audio messages. They're very, very popular in a lot of parts of the world, but not as popular in the United States, actually.
And do you think it's like a generational thing of text with
it could be. The other interesting thing about audio messages, when we built them, one of the things we thought they'd be really great for was lower literacy. People who are new to the internet or less comfortable with writing. But we've actually seen, they're really popular in Mexico, they're really popular in Brazil, they've been really popular in a lot of parts of the world where it's really more just a convenience thing for people. And they're on the go and they want to send a message really quickly.
Talking to Mexico and send the audio messages is like in Mexico City is more useful the audio messages than Guadalajara, for example, or Monterrey or another city in Mexico, or
all across.
All across.
Yeah, we haven't looked at which parts of the country are using it, other than just the level of usage everywhere is incredibly high.
What's the funniest or weirdest title of your WhatsApp group? Your phone?
That's a good question. So I have one with my wife and my mother-in-law. And instead of being, our names, it's just the Keanu Reeves fan club.
All right.
Because we all love Keanu Reeves, all in different ways. But it's what we use to talk about like our kids and things that are going on in our life. We don't talk about Keanu Reeves that often.
Nice. How and when did you start using WhatsApp instead of other?
Oh, I've been using it for many, many, many years. But it's true. Actually, WhatsApp is much less used in the United States than it is in a lot of the world.
Exactly.
That's been changing. It's growing actually pretty quickly in the US. Especially as people learn about it through travel or family abroad. And in fact, even if you go within the US, it's a very different story depending on where you go in the US. In California, where I'm from, it's actually much more used than other parts of the US, similar with Texas, Florida, New York, places where people actually have a lot of international contacts. And we're seeing more interest in it these last few years as people come to understand the privacy benefits. We've actually started in the last couple of years marketing in the US with TV ads and billboards and explaining to people just how insecure it is to send text messages. And honestly, just trying to tell the story to people in the United States that they're kind of behind. The way people communicate in the United States through text messages is behind where the rest of the world is with, WhatsApp. So we're seeing a lot of success and a lot of growth, and I'm hoping in a couple years, If you travel to the US, you'll see most people using it.
Excelente. Pues muy interesante estas respuestas que nos da el jefe global de WhatsApp, Will Cathcart. Así que bueno, pues ya saben, dejen sus comentarios, compartan esta entrevista. ¿Qué les gusta de WhatsApp? ¿Qué no les gusta? Todo eso, él nos escucha y justamente por eso van cambiando y actualizando la plataforma. Gracias, nos vemos pronto.